1, 2, 3. Thanks a lot. As you've probably noticed, we have a slight... For what? For what?
The down button.
For the mic?
For the
presentation. I won't do a presentation, I think. So we have a slight timing problem because of the late arrival of a minister we were waiting for. Here we are, H.S.H. Is the minister around? Okay, so the good news I have for you is that the minister is arriving. We were considering to start with the shipping panel and then go to the rest because of... Have
you said your opening words, Mr. Chairman?
I was trying to make sure that people would not leave while they are waiting, and which is why I was suggesting to start with the shipping panel. Okay. Would that be okay? That's fine. Sure. Okay. Let's do that. I think it's safe. H.S.H. will, as usual, take the role of moderator. Thanks for being patient. Will the member of the shipping panel please come on stage? Yeah, go ahead.
Christine Cabot.
And then we will adjust the rest in order to finish at 10:30.
How do you do?
Okay, good, thanks.
How do you do? So, sorry. 15 minutes late, this was my worst morning to arrive over here. And the minister was stuck somewhere in a different line than me. But we managed, thank you very much, to the two co-chairs of the Blue Economy and Finance Forum, which will take place in Monaco as a prologue to the UNOC in June 25, on the 7th and the 8th of June. So thank you, Pascal Lamy, and thank you, Ambassador Ilana Seid, for co-chairing this Blue Economy and Finance Forum. And since we have reversed the order, it really makes sense because with Pascal and Ilana, the aim, and with the working groups, and most of you are here, is to have deliverables at this Blue Economy and Finance Forum in Monaco, because as President Macron and President Chavez, and I'm saluting the Minister, Franz Ettenbach, who has just arrived, who was stuck in the same line as me, the two presidents want a new ocean deal with this UNOC and deliverables in this forum. So it's good that we start with those who are doing, those who are making things happening. And I'm looking at Christine and this fantastic coalition, New Energies, that you all are working on. And we start with the concrete before going back with our panelists to the work streams and to the meaning of this Blue Economy and Finance Forum that France and Costa Rica, with Special Envoy Peter Thompson, are going to propose as a prologue to the UN Ocean Conference. And then we will ask perhaps Franz Ettenbach, Minister for Environment and Energy, to close this session instead of opening up. I think it would make sense. And thank you very much, Pascal. Christine, I think we should start with you, because you are the energy behind our presence here, especially this morning, and the new energies in this new coalition that you have put together.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big honor for us to be present on this panel together with our colleagues of the New Energy Coalition. Maybe I introduce myself with a couple of words. My name is Christine Cabot-Vorel. I'm Executive Vice President for CMAC GM Group for Assets and Operations. And we are trying to be very proactive and front-runner with respect to the... I don't need that, but with respect to the decarbonation of shipping. Decarbonation of shipping is a big challenge for the years to come, but the shipping lines and the most prominent shipping lines at CMA-CGM, we have decided to take it up, to take this challenge and to start the journey already some time ago. Something happened at this COP28 like a couple of days ago, something very important. I'm not sure if you noticed, but the 4 major shipping lines in the world got together here and took a statement that we have decided to be a front runner and to accelerate and join forces on this pathway towards decarbonation. CMA-CGM, Maersk, MSC, Hapag-Lloyd were this 4 CEOs were present Friday and took a very strong position and stance in this respect. So what are we going to do about that, and how are we going to do about this? Because the very important thing to keep in mind is that we cannot do it alone. We are doing our jobs as ship owners and shipping lines, which is to buy and build and innovate technologies with greener ships. And we have already invested a lot, $15 billion for CMA-CGM alone, in renewing our fleet. By the end of 2027, at CMA-CGM, we'll be owning and operating 120 new ships, which will be capable of burning greener, decarbonated fuels in bio versions of methane, synthetic versions of methanol. We are buying only dual fuel ships at the moment to be able to be ready. So the ships will be there, and some of our colleagues in the shipping are doing the same. But where are the energies? Where can we find biomethanol? Where can we procure e-methane? Where is it, and how are we going to be able to produce with energy producers like my colleague here for NG, the fuel that we will be buying to be able to decarbonize more and more strongly. So this is the crucial question that as shipping lines we are prepared, and this is why we have decided to create this joint coalition for the energies of the future, because we are convinced that we need to create ecosystems with energy producers, with industry makers, with innovation, with R&D, with engine makers, everything we need to be able collectively to provide the solutions that are expected by everybody and that we want to push. So this is why we have created this energy coalition of the new energies. Today, 19 members of various countries and various industries. And it is very important that together, collectively, we build the solutions of tomorrow. We have a joint project for e-methane production that I will leave Claire talk about, but this is the kind of things we do in this coalition, that joining forces, what do we need? If Claire NG is going to produce this new fuel, we CMA-CGM will tell Claire, we will buy your fuel. We will be the off-taker of this new fuel because we need it. And this creates, talking about finance, the bankable conditions so that these new projects can be financed by the World Banks, because they know that there is a producer, there is a technology, and there is an off-taker who will commit to this. And this is this type of ecosystem that we are trying to create. So maybe I will now let Claire explain about this emblematic project that we have together.
Immediately, and we'll come back to questions afterwards. Thank you very much, Christine.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, H.S.H. And good morning, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here. And first, it's a beautiful ocean pavilion. Second, we are indeed the energy producers, part of the solution for decarbonization of the global trade. So I'm Claire Wayson. I'm Executive Vice President for NG Group. NG is a multinational based in France, but with a footprint in 30 countries, both emerging and from the north. And our job is to act for decarbonation. It's actually at the center of our purpose, to accelerate energy transition. So as part of it, we're doing two things: working on energy efficiency solutions and greening the energies, be they electricity or be they gases. So when we looked indeed at the sectors and at the possible uses of green gases will remain an essential part of the transition for two main uses: a number of industries and heavy mobility. And for heavy mobility, you need green gases because you simply don't have the density that you need in electricity. So there is a need for green gases. And that was quite natural that we partnered with CMA CGM in one of our projects, which is a project of biomethane, bio-GNL. So what is biomethane? There are several generations of biomethane. You may have in mind the biomethane that's produced out of agricultural waste, that's in the countryside. Basically, instead of letting the waste emit its carbon without using it, you take the agricultural waste, you let it ferment in a kind of closed environment, and this produces methane. That's the first method. There is a second method, and that's a second generation biomethane, which we're working on, for which we have a prototype, and it has been in place for the last 10 years, close to a French city called Lyon. It is second generation. It uses waste. For now, wood waste, and also solid recuperation waste. So two types of waste, which are quite spread. And tomorrow, I mean, we're working at different kinds of input because, of course, the limitation can be input. So tomorrow, we're looking at things such as wastewaters to be used into that kind of project, which would offer new inputs. What we do with this waste is based on pyrogasification, and this produces methane. So still the same molecule, by the way. We're still talking about the CH4, same molecule as the one we import from gas-producing countries, that we can produce in a totally circular economy logic, be it out of agricultural waste or be it out of different kinds of waste. So this is a project that is actually working currently and has been working for years near Lyon, at a scale which is 1/10 of the one we need. And we're working with CMA CGM as an off-taker on a project in Le Havre, so that's a city in northwestern France, a harbor.
Very big port, indeed.
A very big port, indeed. Indeed, where we will be producing this biomethane, and this will be bio LNG, decarbonized. 70%. Absolutely, decarbonized, and that's the whole interest. CMA CGM has ships, as Christine was saying, which operate on LNG. Tomorrow we will have the bio version of LNG to feed into this ship. Two messages at this point, since we are in a policy-oriented panel. First, I mean, the coalition is great news. I mean, frankly, it's a major step forward, and really big congratulations to all those who were at the initiative and joined the coalition. It's a very good step forward. I mean, you know that maritime trade is, I think, 3% of the global emissions. And clearly, whether we are able to decarbonize or not, global trade will be key to the future of global trade. So it's very good news that the shippers take this very, very strongly. We must stay in an environment that's sufficiently simple in regulatory terms. And I'm thinking about the framework we have in the European Union. The European Union has been at the forefront in pushing for decarbonization of trade. That's very good. Let's make sure the frameworks are simple enough to operate. That's my first policy message. Second policy message, finance. As Christine was saying, well, these are projects which are maturing. So we know that they work on an industrial scale, but 1/10. We are moving to scale with this one. So we don't have any worries from a technical standpoint, but at the same time, I mean, these are still not fully mature technologies, so they still need subsidies at this stage. And they also need private sector ready to step in to finance. And what we see right now is a bit of shyness, to be frank, from the private finance world. So here I really concur with what you said, Christine. We need the global finance, private finance to step in, to be ready to take a bit more risk. We are at the beginning of a journey. We are absolutely convinced that this project will be scalable. But for now, it's a start. And yes, there are a bit more risks at this stage. So we will need some private finance to step in. And of course, there is a role for public finance, and we're working on this as well.
Thank you very much. This has really scaled up the level of expectations also of our Blue Economy and Finance Forum, and definitely will make use of this. I'll come back to questions, including on measuring the financial impact, which we have to measure also through correct indicators. But we go back to Gilles Vermeaux-Desroches from Schneider Electric to expand also the construction of this coalition.
Yes, thank you. It's true that this stand is very good for ocean. It's very far, but when we are here, we consider it's a good place.
I just want to say something here. You know, the whole nature is here.
Yes.
And what is a bit weird is that nature is so far from climate. This whole building is nature with the IUCN and with all our different
we
partners
try
of
to
nature.
reconcile. First, I agree with Claire. For a company like Schneider Electric and many other companies who are in this coalition, it's a very good way to think together. Because very often we consider that states are not able to think everything together and to organize the future with a good level of discussion. And in this coalition, and I remember very well the beginning of the coalition, we did not know why all these companies were together to discuss about shipping, because it's not the job of Schneider Electric and many other companies who are here. But we can understand that when we are together to discuss about this concrete value chain, we understand how we can be innovative. Because innovation is not something from nowhere to nowhere. It's something that we discuss with other people and we try to answer to the question together. And the first big topic of this coalition with, I don't remember, 8 working groups, it's to have the relevant company together and to put in the discussion a specific question and to try to give our job in this question. First think about this coalition, and thank you to have had this initiative and to include us in this initiative. The second thing, which is for me very interesting, and I can discuss about this topic with at 2 different levels. Schneider Electric, it's an industrial company with a lot of materials. We use shipping. And because we would like to become a net zero carbon emission company as soon as possible, this part of our emission is very important. And I am very interested as a client to reduce my own carbon emission, scope 1, scope 2, yes, but scope 3, sure, and logistic, it's a part of this scope 3. It's why it's not only interesting for me to be in this coalition and to discuss about this topic because I'm an industrial and I can put in the market a new solution for that, but it's because as a client, I'm very happy that my providers of shipping are involved in this manner. And the last word about Schneider Electric in this coalition, the job of Schneider Electric is very simple. It's to shift to electricity all the things that we can shift to electricity, and after that to shift to green electricity. And to organize a smart manner to have a discussion. Discussion is not a good word, but between offer and demand, and to try the way to be to increase energy efficiency in this manner to consume between offer and demand. And you know, it's a huge level of reduction that we can have in this discussion, to go from a linear mode to a circular mode, and many companies are involved in this manner. When we are in this coalition, the place where Schneider Electric is involved is linked to the port. And to the port we have two big stakes. First, it's to increase energy efficiency and to shift to electricity. If we would like to shift to electricity, many usage in the port, we have to multiply by 6 or 7 the level of electricity in the port. And to stop to consider that we have to end of the grid, but to consider that the port is the the part of the grid and sometimes able to produce energy, to produce electricity, and to organize in another manner that. In this multiplication by 7 about the consumption of electricity in the port, a third is for the port, the transportation of the container, and 2/3 for the shift, the ship, and it's why we consider that in this topic we have to be involved in 2 different manners. The first, how do we change the infrastructure of the port in order to be able to electrify the different bricks that we have in the port? And the second, how do we involve better all the companies to shift to electricity? In these two reality, I think the need of finance and public finance on PPT is very important, because we are not speaking only about electricity and energy. Because we are in a port, we are speaking about the quality of air, and the port in the city. And we have these two topics, and certainly with these 2 topics we could manage in different manner the financing of all the new infrastructures that we need to go in this direction.
Gilles, thank you very much. And discussing with Christine and Aldo, we are trying to catch up with time, and that's my fault, is the role of finance, which will be actually the second panel. And that's the mission of Pascal Lamy and Ilana, to see how public-private finance can come into this not linear but circular coalition that you are building in your domain. And what's fantastic in this coalition is that it's multidisciplinary. It goes till coastal regions and ports, and that's what we need actually to address the different challenges, biodiversity, climate, and ocean. And I think we are called to that kind of circularity if we want to innovate. So what is your own stake, Christine? Maybe we'll start with you, on the role of finance to now scale up this R&D that you are developing.
Thank you very much. Well, as a matter of fact, because we've been working on that for a while now, we're starting to see a little bit clearly on what it is that we can do and what it is that we cannot do on our alone. Okay, so as I said earlier, the shipping lines, we can create this type of ecosystem where all we can put our brains together, we think together, we look at pilots. And then we decide whether we will go ahead into an actual project, industrial project, as like what we're doing with Engie in Salamon. And then we start looking for financing, because this type of projects today do not have yet the scale which will make it easy to finance without public support, without private financing. So we're trying to build conditions like where there will be a producer, there is a technology which is mature enough, and there is an off-taker, which means that financing such a project should not be too difficult yet. We've been striving with Engie for the past months, and this is an appeal that this project should be properly financed and subsidized at the right level so that it can actually emerge and be triggered off.
Claire.
The second thing just is about the huge pricing difference still today between the price of fossil fuel and the price of greener fuels. There needs to be a progressive bridge gap so that we can reduce this differential price. Today, the customers of maritime trade, the customers of maritime transportation, are not yet fully ready to pay a higher price for greener transportation versus a fully fossil transportation. This will come. It's about managing the transition. Shipping lines, we have a lot of ideas for that. Energy producers are in the coalition. We have a lot to exchange with you. We have no time to do this today, but we can really address these topics with you. And by the way, the idea of finding a financing mechanism at the international level through the IMO so that we can progressively reduce the bridge gap between fossil fuel and greener fuel will certainly help in the next 5 to 10 years, where we will need to invest in greener fuels that our customers are not so ready to pay for that, but starting to be, and so accompanying this sort of transition with an innovative financing process is extremely, extremely important, and we need to do that now. And we are fully ready, coalition, shipping lines, energy producers, to sit down with you and find out, putting together the best instruments that will help us to go and accelerate on this journey.
Fantastic, Claire. Maybe a last word,
Yes,
and we can continue afterwards on a bilateral basis.
Thank you. Very quickly, the fact that we need public support at this stage is just the normal process, in the sense of when you look at PV, when you look at wind, they started with heavy public subsidy, and then the price, the price of PV was divided by 10, the price of wind was reduced by 70%. So it's just the normal industrialization process. At the beginning, you need public subsidy, and then you need to see if the technology matures and can be scaled and the prices can go down. So fully agree on this, and Salamand project is, of course, a project that does need public subsidy, as will all the e-fuels. I didn't talk about e-fuels, but the other, Christine did. Out of green hydrogen, you can produce all kinds of green fuels, and this type of projects also will need public subsidies at the beginning before being able to be scaled up. And second, that's indeed a general thing we see in the industry, as Christine was mentioning. There's more and more interest for green solutions, but not quite always the readiness to pay for them from the demand side. So that's a big issue, and we need to address it. We do not have time to go into specifics, but there are many ways to address it, be it regulation, price of carbon, financing mechanisms, all kinds of options. But clearly today it's a topic that is key also for acceleration.
Thank you, Gilles.
For many things, and when we are speaking about electrification of the port, the innovation are here. We have experimentation, and just about this topic, we are close to the city. Never port is very far from the city. We are in the middle, not in the center, but close to the city. First, we need infrastructure, we need electrification. The stakes is very simple: decarbonisation, close to the city, and increase the air quality. And for this topic, it's easy to consider that to have a public and private discussion and public financing, it's clear, and it's a part of the manner that the finance could, the public finance in priority could focus the different projects in the future.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Gilles. I think we can give them a big round of applause for your patience and for your contribution and participation. Just a word of transition. You spoke about public-private. I would add a multilateralism. I mean, when you speak about, and that's why we're here. We have been having like 20 meetings here in this Ocean Pavilion with Peter Thompson, who's just around, who maybe will come to greet you afterwards. And that's the call of Pascal Lamy and Ilana Seid of, I would say in French, multilatéralisme participatif, an inclusive and engaged multilateralism. And that's what we are calling for at the next UN Ocean Conference. So perhaps Pascal and Ilana, you would like to come on stage while we transit to the first panel and enter. Basically, this is like a steering group meeting. Pascal, Ilana, and maybe we'll call everyone who's speaking on stage. Alfredo, you're here. Yes. Welcome. Karen Sack from ORA, Alfredo, and Eric Jaski, of course, from UN Global Compact. And I think you're very aligned, Eric, with all what has been said. Pascal, the floor, we start with you, of course.
Thanks a lot. I'll be extremely short, not least because we are working together and we try to devote as much time as we can to working together. So just one element to start with. What we are preparing is the next UN Ocean Conference in Nice, which is co-organized by France and Costa Rica. And we've organized this preparation with two different tracks. One is the normal UN track, the big UN machinery preparing resolutions and attendance and ministers and chiefs of state and government. And then a sort of more focused series of tracks, three of them. One about science, which is a specific science congress that will take place just before Nice in order to deliver a series of decisions that should be taken by the conference on how to move forward on ocean science. And we know we still have a big knowledge gap, both at how the ocean works and what we should do in order to regenerate its present degradation. Another one is about coastal cities. It's an alliance of coastal cities who are working on plans in case, which is unfortunately very likely, of sea rise changing fundamentally the way a large number of coastal cities are working. And the third one, which is this one, and this is where I will stop, is the finance track. Very simple again. We know we have a huge finance gap, whether it's on the side of protecting, cleaning, regenerating the ocean, marine protected areas, plastics, deep sea exploration, mining, and so on. And then, of course, on the other side, which is the positive side, which is the blue economy, in finding the necessary resources to invest in blue economy. And we've just had, by the way, a good example of why we need to fill this gap in talking about not just shipping, but port decarbonation. What we want to do with this finance track is not Nice being a pledging conference. The pledging conference started yesterday. So what we want to do is build up a process that is a pledging process that will lead to Nice not taking decisions on things which we might do together, but stating that we have delivered financial support on this, this, and this. It's a different way of working from previous big UN conferences. It's a challenge, it's an innovation. Ilana and me know we are on a risky ground. We might not succeed, but we've decided that we have to do it. And I won't explain you why we have to do it. I think you're all convinced of why we have to do it. So the big question is, how do we do it? And that's the purpose of the follow-up of this small discussion and, of course, of your engagement. We will identify a series of projects, sectors, country, places, where things can happen if we move forward. And then, once we've done that, we will try and mobilize you all to get that done. That's the name of the game.
Ilana? Ambassador Ilana Seid is also co-chair of the Ocean Panel, which is 18 countries, and France is part of the Ocean Panel. I thank my colleagues from the Ocean Panel who are supporting us in this forum, and thank you for accepting this role of co-chair of this forum in Monaco.
Thank you, H.S.H. Yes, I just I'll add to what Pascal has said. In terms of ocean finance, I think you probably have heard it all before, that SDG 14, which is life below water, is the most underfunded SDG. There is a lack of ocean finance. That is probably due to a variety of reasons. One is the regulatory framework for oceans has been largely fragmented. There was no treaty for the high seas until earlier this year in June. And I think that's a big part of trying to solve for the frameworks that will enable investors to come in and provide large-scale finance. So the adoption of the BB&J instrument is very key. At the Ocean Panel, we are always, we're trying to advocate for sustainable ocean plan. So each country to come up with almost a master plan for their ocean. So part that is conserved, part that's sustainably produced. And yesterday, we actually had a very big announcement as part of the Pacific Islands that 14 countries have announced to sustainably manage an area that's 1.5 times the size of the African continent. It was supported by the Bezos Earth Fund and the Global Environmental Facility that they gave us $225 million to do that, but that's kind of key. How do we get the governance in place to enable large-scale financing to happen?
That's not really a very big figure, 225 million,
but that's just a start. But basically, and when we talk about blended finance, that's kind of what we're talking about. So it's philanthropic dollars and then multilateral funds that come in and anchor a very large, hopefully private sector investment. So I think the next step is to try to work with larger governments to increase that funding. And then perhaps we could also go to the private markets to raise a blue bond for the Pacific. And so that's what we talk about when we say that we need to actually implement innovative financial products that will enable the sustainable use of oceans and climate ocean solutions. I think I will also echo what Pascal said, which is we're trying to do something different at the Blue Finance and Economy Forum in Monaco. And it's really not just these conferences that do pledges. It's really how can we come together to actually do something and drive an instrument that will enable things to happen. So I was really pleased to listen to the previous panel because the shipping industry is it's like the 8th largest polluting country, if you were to count it as that. And so it's a really big area that we can all work together. It's also multilateral, which H.S.H. was talking about. We need ships all over the world, and they travel in the high seas, and they have to go to different ports. So I really liked Christine's a comment about could we work with the IMO to come up with an instrument that can use the private markets. I mean, I think the large asset managers like BlackRock, these are huge projects, and they have a lot of potential for large returns, but they do need private support at this, public support at this point. So how do we work together as governments? Norway and the United States, as part of the Ocean Panel, 2 years ago launched the Green Shipping Challenge, and it's gotten a huge amount of support. I believe, I think France just announced quite a bit of funding for shipping. So things are starting to move, and we want to use the forum to really actually create something big that's announceable and that's implementable, and we're really excited to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go on to Eric, UN Global Compact. Yesterday you were speaking in one of your events of a blue bond with not the Pacific but the Caribbean and St. Lucia, if I remember well.
Yeah, thank you. And this is one of the takeaways at this COP. The private sector is already moving. It's already invested fully 100% risk capital into new projects to deliver on what we need, green fuels and green shipping. I think that's fantastic. But we need bigger instruments. And when I was working in shipping at the Norwegian Shipowner Association back in 2015 at COP21 in Paris, together with Armateur de France, we had a special shipping event saying shipping has to be part of the COP. It has to decarbonize by 2050, and we need a levy to do that. Exactly what you said in the first panel, to make it price parity with fossil fuels, so that the green fuels actually get a market-based subsidy, not a government subsidy, but a market-based subsidy. We can do this, and the International Chamber of Shipping is all in favor on this. This is regulations. We can regulate this. There is finance there if we do it right. But what we are working on, and we can create this momentum for the UNOC 25. I think that's a perfect time to get the levy in place. There's a significant interest in this. But we need a complete toolbox. Also, as you said, Ilana, we need the guarantee funds. We need the bond systems, the green and sustainability-linked bonds, together with blue bonds, to be ready to pick up this contract so we can have green corridors with 10-year IKEA contracts on green fuel ships. We can have green port system with Schneider Electric greening the ports. And then, of course, we need credit lines and we need funds that directly invest in this. And to get this as a just transition, we need the World Bank and the development funds to be part of this. We can have a blended finance system, making it profitable for BlackRock to invest in the Pacific. And that's our mandate at the UN Global Compact, and that's what we're working for the UNOC, is to take all these tools and put it in a box, in a very clear box so the market have predictability on the return on investment on sustainable ocean business. So that was my brief comment, H.S.H.
Fantastic, you're really on point. So we'll go to the right other toolbox, which is a forum, which is the WEF, and which is the Ocean program directed by Alfredo Giron. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much, H.S.H. And I will keep it very brief as well. At the forum, we are working on 3 priorities to contribute to the UNOC 3 process. Number 1 is how do we transform industry operations? And I'm not going to go much more into that because Eric already shared a lot on that. Number 2 is how do we invest in nature? And I know that Karen is going to talk to us a lot about that, but just to give you an example, we were in the session of the Mangroves Breakthrough. Just right before this session, completely packed room, $4 billion is the target committed to restore at least 15 million hectares of mangroves. And there's got to be creative finance to deliver on that. So I'm not going to go too much into the details because I am sure that Karen will share a lot of what Aura is doing creatively in the space. But the third one that I am actually going to go into is innovation. Investing in innovation, not only from a sectoral perspective, but more generally across what the innovation ecosystem needs to flourish. And so we have been working with this coalition. It is a coalition that we host at the forum, but we are just the host for that large number of members, called the 1,000 Ocean Startups. And the objective is how do we accelerate 1,000 ocean startups by 2030? How do we bring in the finance and how do we connect it to the nature-based solutions and to the industry transformations that are happening? And so that is one of the things that we hope to bring to the whole of UNOC and especially to this part of the conference. And we are really looking forward to working with you all on it. And for the interest of time, I'm going to pass it on to Karen.
Thank you so much, because we have our minister from Costa Rica who's going to conclude, and we have 2 minutes left, Karen.
Okay, in 2 minutes. I think what is so exciting... Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. Good. Okay. So what is so exciting about what you are hearing about today is how we are working across sectors to drive the radical collaboration that's needed to bring finance into the space. Concessional finance, de-risking what is necessary, public sector finance, philanthropic finance, and of course the private sector, which is so key. The Ocean Risk and Resilience Action Alliance is a multi-stakeholder alliance that brings together different partners from government, from the private sector, finance and insurance, and community groups that are working on the ground as well as civil society. And what we're excited about in terms of UNOC is not just having a working group, but having a group that works to deliver products on the water. We cannot forget nature. As we do that, it is critical that there are investments into nature as one of the most important, and we've heard from the high-level panel research that's been done, one of the most important mitigators of climate impacts, but also for key adaptation and resilience. We are looking forward to announcing the full capitalization of a guarantee facility, of funds that are going to small island developing states, and of the deal matchmaking platform that can bring together the investable kind of 1,000 ocean startups with the investors to drive the space forward, and look forward as well to working with everyone here as we work towards Nice and Monaco, and before that to Costa Rica, so that we can build that on-ramp to full financing for SDG 14.
Costa Rica in June 2025. Pascal, Ilana, I think your box is full of tools and full of ideas. If Minister, you have just 1 more minute, I would like to invite Leticia Carvalho from UNEP, since we're speaking about the multilateral engagement. If you come and join the panelists, and I'll sit next to the minister, and tell us a few words of what the UNEP finance can bring to the table, if I may say so.
Thank you very much, and apologies that I came running from somewhere else, and all the marathon is amazing here, so we can get the cardio done before we we join. But excellencies, colleagues, it's really, really a pleasure to be here. My understanding as we tied the sails for this insightful conversation, I think it's extremely important to see the role of the UN agencies in this partnership. Closer? Okay, perfect. I love to see a number of friends here from different sectors, also others coming from the UN family. So UNEP, the United Nations Environment Programme, is really one of the pioneers of the sustainable blue economy. We have been joining hands with a number of countries in different kinds of coalitions, and we are very happy to be part of this very important forum here. The sustainable blue economy, let's remind ourselves, is not only a concept, it's really a pathway to be implemented that will take us into an economic transition that will not harm the ocean. And this is our commitment. I think I call all of you, I know that you are over time, so I want to be very fast, but I plea and I make a call to all of us to think together that by UNOC in Nice in 2025, we cannot leave Nice without a proper instrument, mechanism, strategy to deliver it and bridge the gap to reach the SDG 14. And this is our responsibility. So I feel very pleased that I'm part of this community, but I plea to all of us that we don't work with concepts, that we go to the ground and really deliver it. And this financial mechanism that has to bridge the gap for the SDG 14 to be delivered on time, it's really something that we need to start to build immediately and get Nice ready to deliver the reality of the SDG 14. Thank you very much.
That was a great wrap-up. Minister Franz Tattenbach, please, would you join the podium with Pascal? Maybe you, no? Okay.
We need to.
Go ahead. Where?
On the podium.
You have the floor.
Well, thank you very much. I was very interested in a couple of panels on ocean finance. Just as a reminder, before I forget, Costa Rica is having a high-level event previous to our UNOC conference that we are co-organizing with France in 2025. Costa Rica high-level event is in 2024, not in 2025. And we left on the outside in the little table some invitations of what the event will be like and some QRs for those who would like to organize a side event, as the side event announcements have to be reached to us before January 15 next year. So we're close, so we would like you to be involved. First of all, I would like to, having got, it's an honor to provide closing remarks at this event, and I think it was, for me, it was very enlightening in many ways. But I would like to start with a very short thing about it, ocean finance. Almost a reflection on all what I discussed. Yes, a great opportunities to have ocean finance, and the oceans will contribute a lot to economic development, to sustainability, using Leticia's word to help heal the world. But so what we want is, of course, ocean finance so that we can use the ocean in a gentler, nicer way. Not that we want a lot of more economic action in the ocean. Not if it is not going to be gentler. Not if it is going to be safer. Not if it is going to be taking care of it. So that, let me put that forward. Costa Rica has been blessed with a tremendous ocean resources, and we are also blessed to be taking good care of them in our good old way by protecting 30% of it. Second, I would like to be, this role for finance, I was particularly impressed by the green fuels initiative of the shipping industry. I think that's great because that is going to bring less footprint in the ocean or in the trade economy or in both. I mean, shipping and trade is very important. Yes, Mr. Lamy. And this is greening trade. I mean, greening the shipping is greening trade at the means of trade. Maybe not at the production side. Costa Rica is doing its part producing deforestation-free commodities, but also we need the means of trade or shipping, and that's very important to green it. And yes, as part of the whole thing is producing those biofuels. I also heard about subsidies in the first panel. Important, fossil fuel subsidies, the cost of the fuel. Tell you how Costa Rica has done it. Costa Rica has not given subsidies to electric cars. We didn't. Yet we want to electrify everything that could be electrified and then go renewable, said one of the panelists. I think, and that, what we did was we have a very high fossil fuel tax on fossil fuel cars. So they are taxed, but electric cars are not taxed. Okay. Is that a subsidy? Well, it is kind of, but, but the right way, right? Okay, and this tax, then the same goes with fossil fuels in general. They have a little tax that goes to conservation of nature programs. So that's the way it goes. Then those two are the way we have dealt with subsidies and electrification and decarbonation of our economy. Now, on the blue economy, yes, we are very interested in providing what we have ratified now, the Nagoya Protocol, and we have a lot of hope in this biodiversity part because Costa Rica has been playing the biodiversity conservation role for a long time, and it took us a long time to ratify the Nagoya Protocol, but we did it recently, the last couple of months it was ratified, and we are now moving into the new possibilities that this brings to our country efforts on protecting land. We have also moved a lot in the what we call the blue economy with a holistic approach of conserving 30% and the whole economy being involved, whole society being involved. What does it mean? We need to bring those who are already livelihoods are part of the ocean, the coastal communities, the fishing communities, those have to be brought into the ocean conservation as well efforts, and they have to be part of this big effort. That is the major challenge that we have in the Chavez administration is the consolidation of what has been done in the past. In the past, we made the promise to protect 30% and declare it a protected area. Now we have to bring the total consensus so that this Costa Rica is not known for having national paper parks, or paper parks, as they call it in the conservation world. We really mean when we go with something. So we now to make this 30%, I don't know how you call it, a water park or water lines that will move. No, they have to be firm, they have to be effective, and they have to be respected. And the only way that this happens is when the whole economy buys the concept that conservation pays and sustainability pays. And for that, all the actors have to be involved. So we are discussing a lot with our fishing communities, how protecting the core produces bigger resources for the rest, how tourism lives off the Costa Rican brand and image and conservation, that's important. But all of this is critical. And we have been very happy, what I call, with 3 global events that happened quite quickly. It happened in the last year, we have consolidated 3 events. We have the COP15. Yes, it was important for the ocean. COP15 says we're going to protect 30% of the whole ocean beyond the jurisdictional waters. That was an expected result, and it happened. So that was one. Then we have the BBNG recently, important one, mentioned here too, critical. And then later, we had the famous the GGBF of the GEF, which also set up the capacity for the fund to fund conservation beyond jurisdictional waters. Someone here mentioned the blue bonds for the whole Pacific. We're going there. So these are the three things that I think are very excited. I'm looking forward to conclude, I would like to emphasize the importance of the partnerships and collaboration for these efforts. We need coalitions of the willing, not only conservation, but also to finance the business and to achieve the SDG 14. Costa Rica has always been a champion in the green agenda. We are now very proud to partner with France to accelerate the blue agenda. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you very much. And sorry for the delay time. Can we take a picture? We should take a picture while we leave.
That's very good.